Hey guys, so what I wanted to do with this video, I had back surgery 3 months ago and I wanted to talk about a bunch of different things. A lot of people have been asking me to record and just speak about my experiences, why I had back surgery, the recovery, leading up to it, what the surgery was like itself. So keep in mind, this is just general information. This is my experience and what I've gone through. Everybody's injury is going to be very different. I'm not an advocate for back surgery. I'm just saying that this is the route that I ended up going down. And the reason for making this video is just to hopefully shine some light on some people and let them know that there is light at the end of the tunnel and there is other alternatives. Myself, first of all, to get into it, the reason I had back surgery in the first place. So my background is martial arts. I've been training for I think 25 plus years now, so my entire life. So pushing my body to the limits. There was no significant thing to where I was like, oh my god, I really badly damaged my back and I have to have it straight away. It was a chronic ongoing thing. So I remember when I was a kid, I had hurt my back doing something and it was just aching for about a week or so. I was probably about 10 or 11. So apparently I had developed Spondylolyte Thesis, which is basically, a lot of people have this and a lot of people live with it and don't have any symptoms whatsoever. It's basically your spine has slightly shifted and then it's just staying like that. So, or a pars fracture is what they call it as well. So I had that from when I was 10 or 11 or 12 or something like that. I was able to compete and train, no dramas whatsoever. When I got a lot older, basically, like, the symptoms were if I lay on my back for too long or I lay on my stomach for too long, my muscles would kind of seize up and it was quite a struggle to roll over or say get up off my back or get out from off my stomach. And I'd have to just not use my back muscles basically, and then loosen up a little bit, all good, ready to go. And yeah, that was basically it. So over probably like the last 4 to 5 years, I started to develop different symptoms in my lower back I was always working on my core just to keep my back quite strong because I had a bit of a problem anyway, amongst all these other injuries, but that's stories for another day. So I had quite a strong core, strong glutes, and over time, through training and competing, I started to get a bit of, so basically I remember where my back, I had quite bad local pain for probably about non-stop for about 8 months, and I couldn't really relieve the pain. And I went and got a couple of MRIs and different scans to find out what was going on. So basically I just damaged my disc a lot further than I did prior, and it wouldn't subside whatsoever. So constantly dealing with a lot of pain, taking a lot of anti-inflammatories, a lot of painkillers here and there. And then over time, I remember it got to the stage where it subsided for probably about a month. So I went back into harder training and felt pretty good. And then all of a sudden it started to come back, but it also came back with a lot of hip pain. For some reason I was like, oh my god, there's something wrong with my hip. So I went to get that checked out and they said, oh no, it's actually referral pain from your back. So my back was compressing the discs and shooting with a bit of nerve pain down to my hip. So in my left hip, I'd have quite a bad hip and, I'd try and massage it out. Same thing with the glute. Didn't do anything really, but my right side was fine. Over time, through a couple of months later, I started to develop sciatic pain where it went initially down the back of my leg and around my tibia, and then eventually it went down into my left foot. So I tried to do what I could to not aggravate it, but through training and normal lifestyle, it ended up getting a lot worse. So for probably about 2.5 years, 2 years, that was constant. So basically, if I was trying to reach over and touch my toes, I would instantly feel nerve pain shooting down my leg before I even stretch anything to do with the back of my leg, like my hamstrings or my calves. Not only that, it felt like when I really aggravated it here and there, it would kind of compress, and I felt like I had to walk with a bit of a limp where I couldn't completely straighten my left leg. So I'd walk and put a lot more weight on my right side and walk with a bit of a bent leg here and there and start to kind of drag my leg a little bit when I really aggravated it. Other things that would set it off, obviously leaning over, stretching it, trying to touch my toes would. I didn't even come close to doing that over time, but I could stretch my right side, so that was fine. Another thing was if I was to cough or sneeze, I would instantly get like a shooting pain down my hip, all the way down my leg to my toes. I had to really make sure that I wasn't at, like, say, a full stretch, where if I was leaning forward and coughing or sneezing, it would be so much worse than if I had to posture up like this and then sneeze and cough. So I remember always coughing or sneezing up, like looking up like this with good posture, because it was just really aggravating. If I was on my left side or my right side was fine. Laying down on my bed, that was perfectly fine. I couldn't sleep on my back. I've never been able to sleep on my stomach. I tried to lay on my left side here and there, and it would just be pressure on my hip, pushing from the nerve. But I remember here and there, if I had to sneeze, I'd quickly roll over and then just like get a lot of posture so it wouldn't really aggravate my nerve. Through saying this, your body gets quite warm when you're training here and there. You can't really feel it too much. So I'd go to training and I'd do what I could. It was always a bit of pain here and there. So especially after, when I started to cool down, it would seize up and it would get quite bad. But I got to the stage where basically, like, my living is teaching martial arts. I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts, and also kickboxing as well, lots of wrestling, lots of takedowns. I would also be holding pads for a lot of people. My sessions, I do personal training sessions where I'd be holding pads for boxing, some wrestling sessions where there's lots of takedowns involved, sparring sessions, and these were just getting harder and harder. So what I would do is, if I knew I had a really big day on, say for example I was teaching 2 classes in the evening, but I had a private earlier that day, or 2 privates that day, I would make sure that I would take anti-inflammatories or painkillers and have those on standby if I hadn't already taken the anti-inflammatories, just to get through the day. And I did whatever I possibly could to avoid taking those. That was every couple of days, and sometimes I would just be putting up with a lot of pain and then just sucking it up and then just doing it, which was fine. I didn't really care. A pain is part of life, and through the old school mentality is train hard, fight easy. That motto is basically just, I was always in pain. So every time I would go to training, I associated it with pain. And then it got to the stage where this is actually what I do to make a living, let alone training. I got past that stage where I really wanted to train myself. I would here and there, but then again, I wouldn't, because I knew that this is actually affecting how I make a living. So there were times here and there where I had to cancel certain sessions because I thought they were too hard, where for what it was, for me personally, it wasn't really that hard. I just knew that my back couldn't handle it. Or if I did like a hard personal training session where I was maybe grappling with somebody, I'd have to think ahead and go, I'm not going to be able to do the one the day after that as well. And I'm going to be writing off the rest of the day of just being in pain and having to take more painkillers. So in saying all that, I was going and getting, I was going and seeing a lot of therapists. So I'd get dry needling done, I'd see a good physiotherapist. I was constantly doing exercises, working on my core, working on my lower back, stretching. I'd constantly get massages with the Thurricane. I'd be massaging my back, if not getting dry needling done. And then I felt like that was basically just putting a band-aid on something that really needed stitches. It wasn't the be all and end all, and I just kind of accepted that as that was part of life. And I was okay with that, hoping that I would kind of get better one day. So I went from really wanting to compete to, okay, I can't really compete until my back gets a bit better. And then I went to really just training. Oh, far out, I can't really train anymore because this is aggravating it way too much, to now this is really affecting how I make a living. So mentally, it completely changed me. I started to look at life in a different way, to, okay, now I just want to lead a normal life, and I'm really struggling to do that. I had time away from training, I had time off teaching, and especially like when we went through the pandemic, and it didn't get any better. It only got worse. So yeah, trying to find that balance from doing too much and not enough. It didn't really matter what I did after a while. Day-to-day life, like simple things, say for example, if I was putting the clothes out, I'd have to make sure that, okay, there's a washing machine, the washing's done, I'd have to sit down on a chair and have a small clothesline beside me so I could get the clothes out and I could hang them over, because that was much easier than leaning over, getting up and down and constantly getting that sharp shooting pain or that dull, aching, lower, local pain in my back. That would just, yeah, I couldn't deal with that. So that was normal and I accepted it. So after doing all these things, this is why myself personally, I got to the stage where I had exhausted all other options. And all I wanted to do was get rid of this pain. I remember being on private healthcare, and I got private healthcare, and I had to wait a full year before I actually went down the route of having back surgery. And there were so many times that I just wished that it was up to that year where I could have back surgery straight away. I was willing to just walk in straight away and get it done, but I had to wait. So through waiting, my back didn't really get much better. If anything, I just obviously eased back from training and avoided certain things that were aggravating it. And so there are a lot of times where I felt myself, I was like, far out. If I do this, this could be the worst mistake of my life. Thinking in the back of my mind that if I have back surgery, this could be the worst mistake ever. It could make it so much worse, and there's no coming back from that. Like, I've had other surgeries on ankle and shoulder and a couple other things, but I was like, back surgery, that's something pretty major. So yes, myself, I was umming and ahhing a lot. Am I going to make a mistake? You know, we're chatting to the surgeon. He assured me that he does this on a regular basis. He's done thousands of back surgeries, which is good and bad. It's not really something you want to brag about, but I chatted to a couple of different people who weren't working for the company. They were people that had had very, very similar back surgery off the same surgeon. And they were saying, I wish I did this earlier. It was such a good thing to hear from certain people. And I was like, well, what are your limitations? And the guy himself, he was like, well, I do weightlifting. The only limitation for me now, 6 months later, I'm doing deadlifts, I'm doing squats. My biggest limitation, I remember him saying, I can't squat all the way down when my butt doesn't touch the ground. And I was like, oh, that's crazy, because I've never been able to do that anyway. So it gave me a lot more confidence chatting to somebody who wasn't trying to sell anything to me. So I ended up finally biting the bullet and heading down the route of having the back surgery. So if I haven't already said so far, the back surgery I had was called hybrid lumbar surgery. So basically my L4, L5, they did a total disc replacement, and also a interior lumbar interbody fusion, which is at my L5 S1. I'm going to put some photos up so you can actually see. Like I was saying as well, nothing at all was done through my lower back, from the back, sorry, but everything went through the front. So it's basically the scar, as you'll see in the photos, and I'll show you as well. It's basically starting just above my belly button and then going just to about here. So quite a big scar. Like I said, everything has gone through the front, and a little bit just on the side there. That's where they do, they take a little bit of bone out to put in my back. So nothing at all had been damaged around my abdominal muscles. So a lot of people thought because I went through the front, they went straight through my abs, which they didn't even touch my abs anyway. So that's good because nothing whatsoever has damaged there. I still have internal stitches. This is 3 months post back surgery. And so basically that's the reason why I had back surgery in the first place, and my background. The leading up to surgery, so the week of, I had to slightly change my diet leading up to surgery itself. Obviously because they go through your stomach, they want to make sure that you basically have nothing in your system whatsoever, so that wasn't too bad. I also had to take an injection the night before to avoid blood clotting, and the surgery itself, it took about 2 hours. I was in hospital for 5 days. I basically learned how to walk again. So the first, like as soon as I woke up, the main thing was, all right, I said to myself, as soon as I wake up, I'm just going to make sure that I don't move whatsoever. I was with private health care, so I was in a private hospital, which was wonderful. The whole experience altogether was fine. I was in a hell of a lot of pain, but that's completely normal. I was on morphine for the first 2 days, I think, and then I progressed into a couple of other drugs. I was heavily medded for a while. Waking up, my exercises, that'll be the next part that I talk about, were very, very minimal. I remember the first day, so I had the surgery the Friday afternoon, and then I woke up Friday night. Not much was really happening there. I was very out of it, and basically I slept. I was constantly getting waken up every 2 hours, because they're really looking after you and they want to make sure that you get the right meds and you're recovering and all that stuff. Saturday afternoon, I remember them trying to wake me up, stand me up, and I tried to stand up, and that was quite a struggle. I felt like from maybe the pain or the medication or just everything that was happening, it was a struggle. My legs were very, very weak. I felt like I was going to pass out, so all good. I tried again later that night. I was able to stand up. I was on a walking frame, and that was basically the exercise for me for Saturday, so the first day after surgery. And then that was it, then back down. Obviously, whenever you're getting up, you're not leaning forward like that, especially because I had a lot of internal stitches. I was pulled slightly forward, and my back, I was not able to use my back muscles whatsoever. So thank gosh for the beds that actually raise you up, makes your life a lot easier. But I was rolling over onto my side and then getting into a seated position and then holding onto something and pulling myself up. So I had terrible posture for a couple of days, and it took me a couple of days to learn how to walk again. I was resting on the frame, and the main thing was before you leave hospital, they want to see that you can actually walk. I was leaning forward, hunched over like an old man, obviously because of the internal stitches, but I was able to progress from the walker's frame to basically walking with terrible posture in 5 days. So, excuse me. So once it hit the 5-day mark, I was able to walk very, very slowly. This is a back brace that they gave me, so pretty straightforward. I had to wear this for 2 weeks, so just around the front, very straightforward. This was just a little bit of precaution. So that was that. The exercises that I had for the first week were very, very basic. It was cross my leg over. I might go through these exercises so everyone can see. It was lay flat on my back and then just swing my leg back and forth. Very, very, very easy. Lift it up so it's straight and then bend it. I eventually progressed into a wall sit where you're basically just sitting up against the wall and then just hanging out in that position for 30 or 10 to 30 seconds. Very, very easy. Another one was stepping. So keep in mind, this is 1 week after, 1 to 2 weeks post back surgery. Holding onto a chair, lifting my legs up, so I'm just stepping on the one spot. Very, very easy. From there, I went into basically doing heel slides. So you're completely flat, laying on the bed, and then you're pulling your heel towards you, and then bending your leg, and then straightening it out again. Very, very easy. Just give me a sec. So the exercises progressed into, for the first 3 months, honestly, they were very boring, but keep in mind I had quite a strong core already. So when I was able to actually clench my muscles, that was great. These exercises, honestly, they're exercises for people that have never done any exercise whatsoever. Initially, they were good for stability. Like there are ones where I was maybe standing on one leg, I was pulling the elastic band, which they're very important to do. So say for example, this, not that you can really see from these ones here, but one here, I had the elastic, sorry, not the elastic, the elastic band basically locked around the chair, or if not locked around the door, and I was just doing rows. So very, very straightforward. Another one I would progress into would be just tricep extensions. So really just working on your tricep muscles. If I go further down, I had a couple of physio exercises over a couple of weeks. I think it was like 4 leading up to the 3-month mark. Another one was progressing into the bird dog exercises. If you don't know what the bird dog exercise is, you're completely flat, on your hands and your knees, and you're lifting one leg up and the opposite arm, trying to keep your core as stable as possible. These are exercises that I was already doing pre-surgery for a lot, and I eventually progressed into back arches, or the prone cobra, where you're laying flat on your stomach and you're just arching up and then dropping down. It wasn't long before I was able to progress to doing up to 60 to 100 reps. And if you can have a look at these exercises here, very, very straightforward. So upper body exercises with the elastic band, just general exercises, nothing to do with the core or the lower back, leading up to the 3-month mark, where I was literally just basically standing, holding onto the elastic, and then just doing bicep curls. So very, very basic, and then also tricep extensions. So just some general exercise. And then these ones here, the next one, chest exercises, just hooking it around a pole, if not locking it in a door, and then just pushing. So basically just doing very simple chest exercises. And then going on to, where are we? Probably the 2-month mark, I was able to progress to the stage of where I was able to do lunges. I could move my core a little bit more. I was told not to bend or twist or lift anything up to the 3-month mark. But if I turn like this or lean forward, after the 2-month mark, I felt nothing at all anyway. So I wasn't going to do that. I had to really make sure that I didn't lean forward and bend my lower spine. So my lumbar spine wasn't bending. I was making sure that it was staying completely still and neutral. So I could lunge, I could squat. I eventually got to the stage of where I could do push-ups. Keep in mind, I'm not lifting any weights when I'm lunging or when I'm squatting whatsoever. So because I had quite a strong core, I was able to do push-ups. I was able to do the bird dog exercises. I was able to do back raises. Okay, going on to, let's say, what did I write down here? So So that's probably going on to the 2-month mark, if not 6 weeks to 2 months. That's where I was able to get to those stages, where I was able to do the push-ups, the lunges, the squats, all that good stuff. Leading up to the 3-month mark, or probably 2.5 months to 3 months, that's where I am now. Lately, I've just been able to go for a jog with the dog. So I took the dog out and we'd go for a run. It's nothing epic, but 20 minutes, and then I progressed to say half an hour. Obviously I'm very cautious with the jolting. I eased into it, and honestly perfectly fine. If anything, I'm just weak just from not doing much in the way of that type of thing. So yeah, so basically 3 months now, I went back and I saw the surgeon and saw the physio. I've got to do rotational exercises now to work on my core. But honestly, I'm able to progress into doing crunches. I'm able to progress into doing these dead bugs, where basically you're completely laying flat on your back with your arms and your legs up. You're bringing your arm down as you bring your opposite leg down, and then rotating. So it's basically just quite a complex exercise where you're working on your core and slightly your lower back as well, making sure that there's no arch in your lower back. 3 months, the surgeon said I'm able to start to progress into doing weights. Nothing too stupid, obviously with common sense, where I'm not doing any deadlifts, I'm not doing any bent over, stiff-legged deadlifts where I'm really curving my lower back. And as of the other day, I was able to actually bend my lower back. So if, I don't know if you can see, but basically, I'll just move this up slightly. So for the last 3 months, I've only been able to go like this. So when I'm leaning over, it's my upper back. Only recently am I able to start to bend my lower back. Okay, that feels perfectly fine. Keep in mind, I haven't done that for 3 months, so it's quite stiff, quite tender, and as soon as I was able to do weights, I was told I could do some weights. I'm allowed to do some free weights or spring-loaded machines, you know, say like pushing and pulling, nothing that's going to aggravate my back whatsoever. But I added on, say, I think it was 12.5 kilos, and I did 30 lunges twice through, and I did seated bicep curls with a shoulder press, just 10 kilos each weight. And what else did I do? Just lunges, same thing, about 10 kilo weight. I did 12 each side, twice through. And honestly, my back was quite sore the next day, but the surgeon reassured me that it was because the delayed onset muscle soreness and your back is still healing. So, and it hasn't bent that way whatsoever in the last 3.5 months. So I made sure that I took it very easy and had a couple of days off. It was only like 1-2 nights that like I was struggling to sleep a little bit because my back was quite sore. Alright, so I've basically been rambling on for about half an hour now. So in conclusion, was the surgery worth it? I would honestly have to say yes. I'm not completely there yet. I'm not training and doing jiu-jitsu or wrestling or sparring or anything like that. It is still early days. It is only 3 months. I did get the all clear the other day from the surgeon to ease back into the swing of things. So yeah, like I said, able to do certain amount of weights, but nothing too crazy just yet. Still, obviously, just being able to move my back is something, but the nerve pain is very, very minor. It's basically if I'm in a squatted position for too long, when I stand up, I kind of have just kind of a little bit of nerve pain down the back of my leg, which apparently that's completely normal. It takes quite a couple of months, as I've been told, for the nerve to regenerate, and this is subsiding as well, pretty much week by week. I feel week by week I am getting better. Obviously when I first had back surgery, it was kind of day by day I was getting better, and then it was like week by week, and now yeah, I'm definitely improving. So what I might do, I might maybe make another video in the near future when I'm actually able to get back into rolling and doing jiu-jitsu and maybe some sparring, and what I can do, I might show that. Yeah, but like I said, it's 3 months now, and overall I feel that the surgery was definitely worth it. So I'm going to leave a bunch of links in the description. If you have any questions whatsoever, let me know. And yeah, this is me. So thanks for listening.